name is Nicholas Montez, and you're watching my YouTube channel, The Teenage Movie Critic. Finally got it right. So today we're going to be doing end of the month, end of the year list, where I talk about the movies that I missed in the year of 2022, basically to kind of cover some stuff that I haven't been able to review yet. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started reviewing and basically ranking the movies that I missed this year on their dates from worst to the best. Now, if you know about the original 365 Days, basically these two films are not good. If you want to describe them, I remember someone described it as a music video that just focused on sex and sex and sex. And that's pretty much what this whole movie is. And, like, I mean, I've seen the first movie. It's kinda more, actually has a kind of a much more better story. Kinda, but these two films are not good, and this film just does more sex than ever, so it easily comes in last place. Now, this was a movie that I decided to watch during my spring break trip, and honestly, I don't really know why I watched it. It was just a movie that starred the guy that played Aladdin in the remake of Aladdin from a few years back. And I thought this would be a nice little film to, explore a different kind of person. But honestly, it's just not that. Like, the chemistry between the two characters is not likable. The characters are annoying. The story is terrible. And the movie overall is just bad. Now, this is also a kind of good but not great movie. It has a somewhat good storyline to come up with, where you have this girl who's a lesbian, and she's kind of like exploring herself through high school and stuff. And I guess you could say it's kind of a good story, but it's not exactly a movie that I particularly enjoy. I'm not saying I respect the stuff that goes on in this movie, but honestly, it's just not a movie for me, honestly. It's not, it's just, I didn't really enjoy it that much. That's just it. Now, I would say the best thing about this movie is really just the action sequences overall, but at the same time, the story itself is kind of bland, doesn't really do anything with its plot or story, the characters aren't really likable, but the action sequences are what puts it a little bit higher. Now, The Sea Beast is actually a pretty good film. Yeah, I guess you could say take parts from How to Train Your Dragon, which I never exactly seen that movie before, but I can kind of see where people are coming from with that sort of thing. But honestly, I think it's kind of an enjoyable film, where you have this sort of sea beast, and he's being misunderstood from this community. It's kind of fun, but it's not really my thing. So as we move into Strange World, I can definitely say that this is a much better film than all the other films I saw on this list. And I think the reason for that was because, first off, it's from Disney. Obviously, Disney this year wasn't exactly the greatest. There were some good movies like Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Roderick Rules, which a lot of people seem to dislike. I did like the remake of Pinocchio. When it comes to the animated films, nothing really worked. I thought that this film being the next Disney animated film after Encanto, it didn't really work for me. Like, obviously, I love the animation. The animation is gorgeous, as it is made from Disney. Some of the characters, I actually enjoyed a good bit, and I like the casting of the characters. The problem here is the way the story kind of came together. It almost felt like I was watching, like, Moana come into this movie, and it's like, what? And the whole overall story of this guy being an explorer and wanting to explore the mountains, it's a cool little concept, but it wasn't exactly explored greatly to the extent, and that's kind of what disappoints me about this movie. So that's pretty much my other thoughts on Strange World. Now, Black Adam is a film that I was actually kind of excited for because, we're finally getting The Rock as a superhero. We're getting the Justice Society of America. So I'm like, this movie's being overhyped so much. So I'm like, okay, maybe when this movie comes out, maybe we'll actually get to see, is this going to be a masterpiece for film? And obviously it's not. But the best thing about it is that you get some great action sequences, you get some fun characters, and you of course get to see The Rock as a superhero. Only for this one time only. And then they decided to bring back Henry Cavill's Superman back, but then they decided to not have him in the DCEU anymore. So it's like, it felt like a waste to me. But at the same time, for the movie that we got, I thought it was enjoyable. Now, when this movie came out, I was like, so this is Ethan Hawke's next thing coming off after Moon Knight, after playing Arthur Harrow, and now he's in a horror movie and he's wearing this mask. So I'm thinking, like, how can this be good? And somehow they were able to master it in having this self-contained story, this cell-contained story where you have this person being locked up in this house, and you have like these voices inside the head in the black phone to help them out. And I just think that's kind of a really cool story, and the action that happens throughout it, like, it almost reminded me of a lot of like It. And even then, like, as you're going throughout the film with the brother and the sister and the dad, like, you actually kind of care about all of them. And if you care about the characters, you'll like the movie itself too, not just the horror stuff. And I thought that was actually really good for this film. So I actually thought this was a nice little film. Now, Moonshot is a film that I did like. It was a fine little film. The two leads are fun. It is nice to see this futuristic type world in space, and the fact that you get to see them fall in love is cool. Nothing much else to that, but it's fun. So coming off after The Flash, I mean, I've never watched the Flash movie or the Flash series. Actually, the Flash movie hasn't been released yet, so scratch that. But seeing Austin Grant as this fireman who is training these fireman police dogs, I just thought that this was kind of a cool story, especially especially I'm a fan of dog films. This is definitely something for me, and personally, I enjoyed it a good bit, so I liked Rescued by Ruby. Now, when they first announced that they're making an Elvis film, I was like, this sounds cool, because the only stuff I knew of Elvis Presley was from the soundtrack and all of that stuff from the movie Lilo and Stitch. And besides all of that, I didn't know anything about the Elvis person, or the Elvis Presley character, or the Elvis Presley person. I didn't know anything about him. Okay, I guess we could say he was a singer, and I also heard a rumor that he died on the toilet somehow, which I didn't know exactly how. And but this movie not only explores a lot about the person of what Elvis really did to make him become what led him to his death, but it really told a great story. And I think that Baz Luhrmann just did a great job on this film. And I think the other great thing about this movie was Austin Butler's performance as Elvis Presley. Like, a lot of people are picking whether to pick Austin Butler or Brendan Fraser from The Whale as the best performance of 2022. I haven't seen The Whale or Brendan Fraser's performances, so I can't really comment on that. But Austin Butler is amazing in this film. I mean, when you think of Austin Butler, you think of Elvis, and that is great. And like, he actually still has that voice of Elvis in him to this day, and it's honestly awesome. And then, and like all the songs, like, it makes you like it makes you hype for the Elvis soundtrack. I did like that they cast Tom Hanks as this guy, as Elvis's lawyer, which at first it was kind of giving like the Batman 2022 Penguin vibes, because he like had because Tom Hanks had the fat suit on to make him look like Colonel Tom Parker, which if you look at pictures of Tom Parker in real life, that's actually how he looks. He looks a little bit fat. And then the fact that they were able to capture that last performance of Elvis's, like the last performance he ever did in front of a live audience, where they were actually able to put a fat suit on Austin Butler, and while they both look incredibly different, they even captured, it still looked like him, and they were also able to capture the same line, almost the same lines that happened that night. And personally, you put all that and you just get a great film. Personally, I don't know if I would consider this a top favorite movie of mine for this year, because there's other movies that I kind of like more, but this is definitely a must-watch film. There's definitely a lot of things I really liked about this film, and I honestly, this movie feels like it should be a series, but like you can't, because it's a real life person, not a movie, not like an actual guy, not like a movie guy. So I really like this movie, and you guys should definitely go see Elvis when you get the chance. It's on HBO Max. Now, this was a film, and honestly, I need to make a list one day, maybe in Black History Month, where I actually celebrate all of my top 5 favorite black people movies. Because probably one of the best things that I love, other than like superhero films and really just comedies in general, is really just films that deal with the lives of black people in society. Because if I'm being honest, the way that you see all these people deal with their lives, it's really interesting. And when you watch this movie, you see this girl being tortured. She's being tormented by these parents who just don't believe in her. She thinks that her dating this girl is the devil, and thinking all this is evil. And like, you see throughout the family like how it's all connected, and that she's kind of on the daughter's side too. And it's like, it's great, it's amazing, and it's hurtful to see this girl get that sort of shame, but you also get to see her do some awesome things as well. So I loved this movie. Now, obviously, it kind of hurts myself to actually put this movie at number 1 especially on this list, because this was this was kind of one of my most anticipated films of the year, considering that it was one of the most hyped films of the year, besides like maybe Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. But personally, I thought it was a great film. I thought Robert Pattinson was great as Batman. When it comes to Bruce Wayne, not the best. But when it comes to Batman, he knows how to pull off this powerful, unstoppable force. But then I also loved I love the way they did Gotham, where when you watch like the Spider-Man films, they make New York like a character of its own. With this one, they made Gotham like a character of its own, and I really like that. And it's interesting to know why they're doing so many sequels with this now, because so many characters feel like they have a lot of history. And even like, I think that this is the best Catwoman we've ever gotten. Colin Farrell was great as Penguin. Paul Dano was great as Riddler. And then even some of the action wasn't the best, but it was cool when it happened, especially that car chase with Batman and Penguin. I thought was great. And then of course, you got Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon. Just a lot of stuff of this movie really worked. And also the fact that it was like a detective story, especially Riddler, made it great. So I love this movie, and I honestly cannot wait to see the Batman 2 sequel. Hopefully it's a lot more epic, and hopefully they just do better with the action. because we're in a day and age where we get tons of CGIs, tons of stuff, hand-to-hand combat. Some films actually get that. We need to get that with at least with a live-action Batman film. And the Batman 2 sequel needs to do that. I at least think it needs to do that. So, that's kind of my thoughts on... But that's pretty much my ranking of all the films I missed. Of all the 2022 films I missed this year. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All my social media stuff is in the about section over there. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.